Well, that puppy just ain't coming home like we thought it was. We thought, if you don't get the reference, we did an episode a couple days ago about Levi Onwuzurike potentially just missing 4 games. We used the puppy analogy. The puppy's just gone for 4 weeks. We're still gonna see it. We're still gonna be able to love this puppy from a distance, but that distance is now a little further. Will, I'm sorry for your tragic loss today. That's the big news coming out of Detroit Lions camp. We'll start with that. Will, not a happy camper. What were your thoughts when I texted you this morning? Well, I did not mean to be the bearer of bad news for you today, if that's what I was.
Uh, First thing I'll say is you weren't the bearer of bad news because I had watched the press conference already, so I already knew. Um, and Steve, it's fine. I'm okay. I'm fine. It's not a. It's all good. I'm just going to drink these until I feel better. Yes, it's no. In all seriousness, man, I can't say that I saw this coming. I didn't. I didn't see either of them. I didn't know that he was going to be out for the 4 weeks when that came out, and I definitely didn't expect Coach Campbell to say, "Oh yeah, I'm glad you asked about Levi. Yeah, he's out for the season. Moving on. Yeah." I was just hold on, what? Run it? Can I rewind this? What? But as I said before, well, the first thing I'll say is this: Levi, I'm praying for you. You've had just a rough ride going through your NFL experience. I still stand on, if you watch the film, he played some doggone good football last season. He had some really good moments last season. And I shouldn't even say moments. I don't want to downgrade it to moments. He had some really good games that he strung together. Versatility, inside, outside. For those who don't know, Levi Onwuzurike took the very first snap at strong side defensive end last year. So I don't know, man. I'm seeing a lot of people in the comments, and it's a little bit disappointing on Twitter and in our comments saying not so nice things about Levi Onwuzurike. He can't help what his situation is. And if you've ever had anything going on with your back, it's nothing to play around with, let alone having your back fused together and then trying to play in the NFL. For him to make it back last season, play in every game but one football game, I thought that it was awesome, and I was cheering for him. I've seen a couple of people calling Brad a dummy and another mistake by Brad. I completely disagree. He signed him to a 1-year deal. I suspect maybe he knew something was going on, or he had some of the concerns that maybe some of the people have. But all that out of the way, I just want to say praying for Levi Onwuzurike. Hope that he can make it back, continue to do what he's been doing, playing a game that he loves, because these guys are humans first.
Yeah, I'm with you. Not great news. I'm glad you brought up that it's a 1-year contract for Levi. I think that 1-year contract was a prove it deal, and obviously he's not going to get a chance to prove it. So, what does that mean? Is his time done with the Detroit Lions? Is his time done in the NFL altogether? Because in a short period of time, he's missed significant time in football. He's missed this will be his second full season. He's missed some games sprinkled out throughout his career here and there. So Levi is a Detroit Lion. We're always cheering for him. We don't want to see injuries. And as much as I wasn't as high as you on Levi Onwuzurike this whole offseason, I don't think that this move makes the Detroit Lions better. I don't think it makes us a better football team. So it is a loss. However, catastrophic. I'll let you guys weigh that on your own and decide how that's going to affect the team going forward. But I was thinking Levi was going to have, at a bare minimum, if not compete for a starting job, he was going to be a very, very heavily used backup piece for defensive end and defensive tackle. So losing Levi does not make our team better. So yeah, this does hit a little bit, and it's just not good news to get day one of training camp after the whole season we had last year, where you and I were having to come on here every week and do an update on a new player being injured. So not exactly how I wanted to start our training camp today, with losing one of our big pieces on the defensive side of the football. But I do see a lot of people also criticizing Brad Holmes. Look, sometimes football players just don't work out. Like, I'm not saying Levi's done. I'm just asking some questions, but it's not the player that failed. This guy, he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. When he stays healthy, he's a nice piece to have. So I can't say that he's been a mistake by Brad Holmes. He just, he hasn't been able to stay healthy. That's not Brad Holmes's fault. It's just, shit happens in the NFL sometimes.
100%, Steve. And the bottom line for me is I just don't understand where people are coming from with it. He signed the guy to a 1-year deal. Now, if we were looking at a situation where Brad gave this guy 3-4 year deal, lots of chalupas, then maybe we look at, hey, was that a mistake? Was it a bad move? How bad does it hurt us? If he doesn't want to re-sign him, he just won't re-sign him. And because of the situation that happened, it could be an Emmanuel Mosley situation where going into next season, he's got to get another 1-year prove it deal. And that guy in the rotation, I love it. I love him in the rotation. But Steve, I gotta give a shame on Will. I gotta give a mistake that I made yesterday. I'm not necessarily a mistake, but I failed to mention Pat O'Connor yesterday when I was talking about D-line depth. And boy, oh boy, boy, oh boy, am I excited about Pat O'Connor. Now, when I say boy, oh boy, I'm excited. I'm not going to sit up here and say he's going to set the league on fire. But what I am excited for is him as a depth piece, man. When it's like Christmas morning, you're in a rush, man. You're tearing all your Christmas gifts apart, man. And then after you're all done and you're cleaning up the wrapping paper, there's one more gift. Just one more gift. Whose name's on it? It's got my name on it, right? And I got an extra one. That's how I felt, man, when I realized that I had kind of overlooked Pat O'Connor. I'm thinking about this D line, man, and the first thing I'm thinking about is we're absolutely fine. So I see quite a few people on Twitter and a few people in our comments saying like, "Oh man, this is an example where Brad obviously he should have did more." What did Brad do? First thing he did, he drafted a defensive tackle. Talik Williams is going to be a problem. Okay, and then you still got DJ Reader. He went in the offseason and got Roy Lopez, who was a guy who's ascending in the right direction, young guy who's showed a lot of potential. Okay. What issues do we have? We just talked about Pat O'Connor. I told you guys before that I think Miles Adams is a guy that's underrated as a rotational piece. We have dudes at defensive tackle, and then we're going to get our guys back. For the playoff run or the back end of the season, we'll have Aleem McNeil. Makai Wingo is a guy we're going to get back soon. I don't understand why people are in this panic because we've lost Levi Onwuzurike. Like Brad is the dumbest guy in the world, and it's this huge deal. I don't think it's the hugest deal. I am disappointed, but I'm more disappointed that for him than I am disappointed that for the impact of the Detroit Lions. Is it going to be some of an impact? It definitely is going to be a partial impact, but I don't think it's going to set the trajectory of our season. Us losing Levi Onwuzurike, no disrespect to him, but Steve, I did get some super cool news right after the Levi Onwuzurike news. And I guarantee you're not privy to this unless Emily spills some beans. Unless she spills some beans. Hopefully you haven't been creeping over into our photos over here. But today, I got a photograph that I wasn't expecting from Emily. And young man is pretty pumped about the situation. And for those of you who really pay attention, there's a little something behind me, right? That's not the normal that's back there. So little William, little William has he's finally
Oh
stepped into
man,
the world, man. he's finally
cheers.
he's finally stepped into the football world, man. So my youngest has gotten his first opportunity to get some pads and a helmet and a jersey, and he's chose to wear dad's 20 jersey, which I didn't know that he was gonna do. So it's pretty cool. So right after the Levi Onwuzurike deal or situation, Emily laid that on me, man. So I was pretty pumped about that. So I think that's the only thing that's got me holding on. But back to the business. I'm sure a lot of people don't care to hear about little Williams' football endeavors. Where you want to go with this training camp situation next?
First and foremost, I think Barry Sanders was wearing number 20 way before Will Ford was. So let's just get that straighten out
That's
there.
why I
But
was wearing it.
awesome to see. I don't want to be all doom and gloom because we lost Alex Anzalone, but Alex Anzalone did report to camp today. So for everyone who was wondering, but what I meant to mention is another injury news and update. Ennis Rakestraw left camp today with a chest injury. It happened. I got some news. It was probably as you were driving home from work. So I'm not sure if you saw the update that was just came out to be just a chest bruise. So we kind of dodged a bullet there. Ennis Rakestraw, another guy we were very, very high on this season. Whenever I hear injury, I just immediately start assuming the worst until some news comes out. But luckily, we got a little bit of good news. That's just a little boo-boo on the chest bruise. Might miss a day or two, I'd guess. So nothing there. Dodged a bullet. Again, Alex Anzalone reported to camp. I think that kind of quiets some people saying that he was going to be holding out for his contract situation. But I've been telling you guys, I'm not going to get worried until training camp if he doesn't show up. So he was there, did his conditioning drill. All is good there, Will. But I'll tell you this. I did see something on Twitter that it excited me, Will. All right. And if you've been creeping the pictures, you probably see what I've got loaded in for you. And that is a tweet from Jeremy Reisman. My biggest takeaway from day one of Lions training camp, Tyleik Williams and second round pick Tate Ratledge are already among the most important players on the team. Well, Jeremy Reisman, I think he's from Pride of Detroit. I can't remember off the top of my head, but shout out to him. I follow his stuff. He usually puts out some really good Lions content. So thank you for giving us something to talk about as well. When we're talking about losing Levi and Tyleik Williams looking like one of the most important players on the team, gets me a little excited, Will, because this has been a guy we've been talking about the last couple of days is, hey man, go out there and prove why you were drafted first in the first round by the Detroit Lions. Go ahead and quiet a lot of people who were begging for an edge rusher or the athletic linebacker or whatever it might have been. To hear that he's one of the most important players, as well as Tate Ratledge, who just signed his contract. Like, I don't even think the ink's dry on the paper yet, Well, if I'm being honest. So fresh into camp. I'm excited to hear that two of our rookies that were our first two draft picks are looking very good. I know it's just day one. I don't want to get overexcited, Will, but I'm a little excited about this.
Must have been written on my face. Nothing but respect for Mr. Reisman, but it's a little bit early to talk about these guys as some of the most important players for the Detroit Lions. But all that said, when I read that Tyleik Williams was taking snaps with the number ones, I was excited. Curious to see what this looks like. I think that if he's out there with DJ Reader, he could have some big time opportunities, Steve. Some big time opportunities for a young dog. Then I think it speaks to when we talked about some of those veterans in the room with him, that they're willing to put him out there right with that first group immediately. I think that speaks to who he is as a player and how he's looked since he's been in the building. That excites me as well. I think he could be even better than I was thinking that he was going to be this season, because I don't expect a whole lot out of rookies, man. They're trying to figure out the game. They're trying to figure out, techniques and what's going on, speed of the game, trying to get, acclimated. I expect there to be a learning curve with rookies, but the fact that they're throwing them out there so fast excites me. And it's the same thing with Tate. We talked about where would Tate be playing. I was absolutely wrong. I expected that it would be Graham Glasgow, the veteran, at that center position. But when it came out today, it said that it looked like this, Steve. Left tackle was Dan Skipper. Obviously, that's going to be Taylor Decker. So when you're hearing this, when you're thinking about it, think about that as Taylor Decker. Then it was Christian Mahogany at left guard. Then you had Tate at center. You had Graham Glasgow at the right guard, and then you had Panay at the right tackle. Steve, that offensive line going into the season, obviously putting Decker in for Dan Skipper, do you think that is a top 5 offensive line?
It pains me to say no, but I think they can prove their way into being the top 5. I think when you have that many questions along the interior of the offensive line and Taylor Decker being a little banged up, the only piece I know for sure is a guy by the name of Penei Sewell. I got some questions about every other piece right now. So I can't say it's top 5, and that might not be a popular opinion. I know we've been able to hang our hat on that for the last couple of years, but I do think that it's changed. I still think we'll be a damn good offensive line, and time will tell if it can creep back into the top 5. But when you've essentially got 2 rookies and an aging center and then a left tackle who's banged up right now, I can't say it's top 5, but I still think it's going to be the strength of the offense. I still think it's going to be leaned on very, very heavily, and it won't make a difference what it is. But I can't give it top 5 right now, Will, unfortunately, until I see how they all mesh together throughout a couple real NFL weeks.
I respect it, Steve, and I got to agree with you. But I will say that I'm still super excited for this offensive line. I think that they can be really impactful this season and surprise a lot of people. One of the things that stood out to me is as that offensive line got named, there was no Miles Frazier. He hasn't even gotten to that mix yet.
He's on the pup.
No, I know, but I'm saying he hasn't even gotten that mix yet. So when he's a guy that they said is short term, he'll be back soon. So when he gets into that mix, is he a guy that's going to get out there and compete with Graham Glasgow? Because as I look at that list, when you're talking about Taylor Decker, he becomes the old dog in that group. If now it's Christian Mahogany, Tate Ratledge, and instead of Graham Glasgow, you got Miles Frazier because he's been cross-training. He's been playing some tackle. He's been playing some guard. So if you get him at guard, we instantly got a young, tough offensive line that is probably going to do nothing but gel and get better and better. So I'm on the lookout to see where does Frazier play when he does get into the mix. Now, that second team kind of intrigued me too, Steve. They said Gio took all of the snaps at left, or most of the snaps at left tackle today, which is interesting to me. Behind Dan Skipper, obviously, and then Kingsley Ngwakun. He's a guy that I talked about last year, and there was comments like, "Why in the world am I talking about this dude?" But he's taken over for Nice's role as a backup center, and he got the number 2 reps today at center. That might be another thing to look out for. If we have a situation, will it be Graham Glasgow shifting right over, or will it be a young Kingsley Ngwakun, man? That's because I like his game, and I think that he's a guy who long term could be a guy who helps us out in a jam in a certain, in a situation where somebody gets banged up, man. So I think there's a little bit more depth to this offensive line than people are giving it credit for. Hank's got a good group.
I did see something. It's hard to put the pieces to the puzzle together when we're not there physically to get eyes on ourselves. So we're kind of taking all of these insiders and trying to put together a puzzle of what's right and what's wrong. So apologies if we make a mistake. But I thought I read something that Tate Ratledge was taking the first team center reps, but when he came out, he was not playing guard. So do you think that is anything to keep an eye on going forward in training camp? Because we're talking about depth. Who's going to be playing that backup spot? If Tate's purely just being groomed as a center, do you think that's where he should be and Graham should be at the right guard? How do you feel about that?
Honestly, Steve, I think that if you can play center, you can play guard. I think the center is going to be being the quarterback of the offensive line. I think that it's going to be the tougher position to play. And if we got into a jam, I don't think that means that we won't go to Tate if we got into a situation to where we needed to. But that said, I think it means he's our center. Now, it is day one. So I'm just speculating. I may change my mind if tomorrow they go to camp and Tate is playing guard and they got Graham at center. Now I'll say, okay, now this is something that they're doing and they don't want to shuffle him around, because sometimes you don't want to shuffle a guy around through practice back and forth. You want to give him a whole practice to make the calls, get his feet under him, and get the reps. And then maybe tomorrow he comes in a guard, and maybe next week so I don't know what they're doing. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that I know exactly how they're attacking this thing, because you can attack it a bunch of different ways. But with the information that we have now, I feel like that this told me that Tate's the center. Right. And that's just the bottom line. So guard is not even in this conversation anymore. If he goes through this week of training camp and all he does is center, Steve, he is now Frank Ragnall's replacement, and everything else is up in the air with who is going to be the guards alongside of him. Will it be Christian Mahogany? Will it be Frazier? Will it be Graham Glasgow? Who will it be?
It's exciting to think about, because I'm excited for Miles Frazier to get out there and see, like, we're talking about, the offensive line, top 5. I mean, even if it's not, but you have those 3 kids, Frazier, Ratledge, and Mahogany, as your interior offensive line for the next 7 to 10 years, if they're really, really good.
Babies.
Yeah, like, it's exciting. And Penei Sewell, I think he's barely 25, so it's not like he's knocking on the retirement door anytime soon. Mm-hmm. So I really like the way our offensive line could shape up in the future going forward. But right now, just still have some questions about it, but I'm excited to get some answers as training camp goes on. What else happened in training camp today? Anything else on your mind, William?
Steve, what are we at? 19 minutes in, 16 minutes in, I can't tell, but we're pretty good length into this podcast, and now we're just getting to the most juicy part of the day, something that absolutely had me coming unglued, Steve, coming unglued. Let me just read it off so I don't screw it up. This is from Pride of Detroit. I didn't bother to load it in, but I'll read it. It says, their Lions showcased a variety of offensive formations today.
Now we're talking.
They featured 2 running backs on the field, right, for a good portion of the offensive session.
Don't just give me the biscuits, Will. Give me the gravy too.
Now, what they did say is they're not allowed legally to tell what those formations are, but Jahmyr Gibbs has talked about how he's been taking some slot routes, right? So shame on you to the gentleman who said, why the heck would we even need to put Jahmyr Gibbs in the slot position? You guys are playing Madden. No. It's about matchups.
Haven't played Madden in 10 years, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, it's about matchups. It's about finding the fish. It's about how successful Marshall Faulk was. It's about making this thing dynamic and getting your best players on the football field. Steve, when I read that, my dreams came true. I can't get to the regular season fast enough. The thought of having David Montgomery out there and then Jahmyr Gibbs in a slot position, right? In a wing position, anywhere where he can run routes, it excites me, Steve. And to see that there was a variety of formations where he was out there in that type of capacity, Steve, how do you feel?
This is exactly what I've been talking about with losing Ben Johnson and how I didn't care because sometimes he was just a little too flashy. I've been saying for the last 2 weeks, this is what I want John Morton to do. Be creative with your formations, not your plays. All right. Just line up there, get some matchups that you favor the Detroit Lions. There's really only a couple linebackers that I've ever seen be able to cover a Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't think there's any corners that can do it. And if they can, that's fine. Take them away in the passing game. Uneven box, we'll just run the ball with David Montgomery because I don't think there's teams out there that are designed defensively to stop Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery as a running back, Jamison Williams, and Amon-Ra St. Brown with Sam Laporta. If you could stop all of those guys, you're a better team than I'm giving you credit for because I just don't think that there's a team out there that's going to take away every single one of those players. We're going to feast one way or another. This is the excitement that I've been talking about for 2 weeks is creating formational mismatches. I don't need hook and ladder plays. I don't need tackle reverses. I don't need reverses with Jamison Williams trying to throw the ball. That's cute. It's flashy. When it works, it's great. When it doesn't, it's catastrophic. This is the kind of stuff I've been waiting to hear and see, William. And Jahmyr Gibbs is really just getting his feet wet in the NFL. I think last year was kind of his, all right, David Montgomery's hurt. Now I got to carry a bigger bulk of this load. As a rookie, he was fantastic. As a sophomore, he was fantastic. Year 3, I think he's fully weaponized, Will. That's what we're talking about when we drafted him. We didn't draft a running back. We drafted a football weapon. I think this is a sign that he's fully weaponized, Will, going into year 3. We're going to see the full arsenal. And my excitement level, 1 to 10, I don't know, somewhere in the ballpark of 100,000.
I love it, man. I think people need to look out for Coach Morton, man, because I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's in his home state. He's looking to stay here for a long time. I think he's going to throw everything to include the kitchen sink at the whole entire league this year. A lot of people are naysayers. What does Jalen Milroe and Terry and Arnold say? Lank, man, let a naysayer know. I think that's the type of energy that you're going to get from our OC this year. He's going to be looking to prove everybody wrong. He's going to be looking to stay here for a long time. So, Steve, man, Coach Morton, this offense, I seen a picture of J-Mo and him arm in arm, man. Looked like they were having some type of conversation about J-Mo going for 1,500 yards this season. The whole scope of this thing just excites me.
Can't wait. We're literally 11 days away from the first preseason game down in Canton on Thursday night, Hall of Fame game. NFL season's fully underway. Can't wait. I'm excited. You got anything else for tonight, Will?
Oh, Steve, do I? Have
there's more. Else? There's more. Four-hour episode tonight? 4-hour episode?
More. This will be the last one, man. This is the last one I got in my notes here. I just thought that it was worth talking about. There was a matchup today, Steve. Well, there was a few matchups, but there was a matchup that was one-sided that come out of Cap today. I don't know if you heard about it, but if you haven't, I'm going to really enjoy laying it on you. We got this corner in the offseason, one that I was pounding the table for. I want it real bad, man. DJ Reed. DJ Reed was at camp today. He was frustrated. He was frustrated because Mr. St. Brown was taking his lunch money all day at camp today. They said that they had him frustrated, shaking his head, smacking his helmet, doing all types of things today. Now, Pride of Detroit did say that's a typical thing. He's taken corners to the shed at camp typically that every year since he's been here. So I'm not in a panic about DJ. I think DJ is going to be just fine, but I cannot wait to see how he bounces back tomorrow because I heard St. Brown got in that ass today. So DJ, you better show up and pack that lunch today, because St. Brown does not take days off. He's every day is a game day. He's like Tom Brady with that mentality, Kobe Bryant type mentality. He's getting after it at practice. It's out there. It's out there, DJ. And I know DJ has responded on X, and I know that he's seen our stuff here and there. So DJ, if you happen to stumble upon this is no disrespect, but you better show up tomorrow. I'm gonna get on here. I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna talk about it now. As long as you handle yourself in the regular season, we're gonna be all good. But pride on the line tomorrow at camp, Steve.
Iron sharpens iron, Will. All right. He didn't have to see these types of receivers when he was with the New York Jets, because they had a guy by Sauce Gardner. All right. Come to Detroit. Good luck covering J-Mo. Good luck covering St. Brown. Good luck covering Tim Patrick, who I saw making some plays today over Amik Robertson. Iron's going to sharpen iron. Cream's going to rise to the top. Team's going to be fine. Looking forward to all these practices. Looking forward to all these games. Some injury news. Didn't want to end it on some gloom and doom. Had to throw in some positivity. There's a lot of things going well with the Detroit Lions. I know there's a lot of negativity. Everyone's criticizing Brad after one freaking training camp practice, and we're writing off the ship already. Relax, everyone. It's going to be fine. It's a long, long season, and we don't know what Brad has up his sleeve. Stick around. Hit that like button. We'll be back later with another show.
Peace.